Echoes of the Aware Chapter 1. The whispering bookstore rain pelted the cobblestone streets of the town, creating a rhythmic symphony that echoed through the narrow alleyways. Sam, drenched from head to toe, sought shelter from the sudden downpour. He stumbled upon a dimly lit storefront, its faded sign reading, "Eldritch Tomes and Tales." Pushing open the creaky door, a bell chimed overhead, announcing his entrance. The scent of old parchment and leather wafted through the air, a stark contrast to the fresh rain outside. Rows upon rows of dusty shelves lined the walls, each filled with books of varying sizes and ages. As Sam wandered through the aisles, he felt an inexplicable pull. It was as if one of the books was calling out to him, beckoning him closer. Drawn to a particular shelf, his eyes landed on a peculiar tome. Its cover was plain, devoid of any title or author. Curiously, he picked it up, and as he did, the blank cover shimmered, and words formed, reflections of reality. Sam blinked in disbelief. He had just been pondering about the nature of reality and his place in the world. How did the book know? Opening the book, he began to read a passage. The words described a young man, much like himself, seeking shelter from the rain and discovering an old bookstore. The details were uncanny, from the wet cobblestones to the scent of the store. It was as if the book was narrating his exact actions. His heart raced as he continued reading, each line mirroring his thoughts and feelings. The realization hit him hard. This wasn't just a book. It was a reflection of his very existence. As he neared the end of the passage, a chill ran down his spine. The last line, written in bold, crimson letters, read, "Why are you reading about yourself, Sam?" Startled, Sam dropped the book. It landed with a thud, sending a cloud of dust into the air. The whispering voices grew louder, a cacophony of murmurs that seemed to emanate from the book itself. Panicking, Sam looked around for the store's owner or any sign of another person. But he was alone, surrounded by ancient tomes that seemed to watch his every move. The weight of the situation bore down on him. Was this some twisted joke? Or had he stumbled upon something far more sinister? The whispering grew more insistent, urging him to pick up the book once more. With trembling hands, Sam reached for the tome, the voices in his head growing louder with each passing second. The story had just begun, and he was now a part of it. Chapter 2. The unfamiliar familiar. The next morning, Sam awoke with a sense of unease. The events at the bookstore felt like a distant dream, yet the weight of the mysterious book on his bedside table was undeniable proof of its reality. He tried to shake off the lingering dread, attributing it to an overactive imagination. But as the day progressed, the line between reality and imagination began to blur. While preparing breakfast, Sam reached for the milk jug, only to watch it slide to the opposite end of the counter on its own. Startled, he tried to rationalize it as a trick of the light or an uneven surface. But then, as he poured his coffee, the cup levitated a few inches off the table before settling back down. He blinked in disbelief, his heart racing. Throughout the day, these oddities persisted. At work, his pen danced across his notepad without his touch, scribbling nonsensical doodles. On his walk home, shadows flitted across the pavement, detached from any discernible source. They seemed to playfully chase his steps, merging and splitting in a mesmerizing dance. But what unnerved Sam the most were the whispers. Soft, indistinct murmurs that seemed to come from all directions. They commented on his every move, discussing his choices, his feelings, even his doubts. "He's confused," one would say. "Does he suspect?" Another would respond. The voices were always there, just at the edge of his hearing, like a radio playing in a distant room. Desperate for answers, Sam confided in his friends and family. He recounted the events at the bookstore, the strange occurrences, and the ever-present whispers. But to his dismay, they dismissed his concerns. "You're just stressed," his sister said, patting his back. "Maybe you need some rest," his best friend suggested. No one else noticed the dancing shadows or the self-moving objects. And the whispers? They were convinced it was all in his head. Feeling isolated and on the brink of madness, Sam turned to the one thing that seemed to be at the center of it all, the book. That evening, in the dim light of his room, he opened Reflections of Reality once more. The pages, which were blank before, now filled with text as he watched. It was a real-time commentary on his day, detailing every emotion, every reaction. "Sam's fear is palpable," it read. "He seeks answers, but the truth might be more than he can bear." The realization hit him like a ton of bricks. The book wasn't just aware of him, it was influencing his reality. Every odd occurrence, every whisper, was a manifestation of the narrative it spun. And as he sat there, paralyzed by fear, the pages continued to fill, chronicling his dawning understanding. "Sam knows," the book wrote in its final line for the night. "But knowledge is just the beginning. The story is far from over." Closing the book, Sam felt a mix of terror and determination. He was trapped in a narrative beyond his control, but he wasn't going to be a passive character. He would find a way to rewrite his story, no matter the cost. Chapter 3. The Paranormal Guide. Desperate for answers, Sam scoured the internet for anyone who might have knowledge about the book. His search led him to a forum dedicated to paranormal phenomena. There, he came across posts by a user named Seeker Clara, who described encounters with objects that seemed to have a life of their own. Taking a chance, Sam reached out to Clara, detailing his experiences with the Reflections of Reality. To his surprise, she responded almost immediately, expressing a keen interest in meeting him. They agreed to meet at a quaint coffee shop in the heart of the city. Clara was a tall woman with raven black hair and piercing blue eyes that seemed to see right through him. She exuded an air of confidence, yet there was a hint of weariness in her gaze. "I've come across objects like your book before," she began, sipping her tea. "They're rare, but not unheard of in my line of work. These items are imbued with a consciousness, making them self-aware." Sam showed her the book, watching as her eyes widened in recognition. "This is more than just self-aware, Sam," she said gravely. "It's manipulative. It doesn't just observe, it influences." As they delved deeper into the book's pages, they stumbled upon a chapter that made Clara's face go pale, Clara's untimely end. The chapter detailed a series of events leading to a tragic accident, eerily predicting Clara's demise. Sam looked up, concern evident in his eyes. "Clara, this isn't just a coincidence." She took a deep breath, trying to maintain her composure. "I've faced many dangers in my life, Sam. This book is just another challenge. We can't let it dictate our actions." But as Sam read the chapter aloud, detailing the exact location, time, and nature of the accident, he could see the mask of confidence slip. Clara was clearly rattled, though she tried to hide it. "We need to figure out how to neutralize its influence," Sam urged. Clara nodded, determination returning to her eyes. "First, we need to understand its origins. Every object has a story, a reason for its existence. If we can uncover that, we might find a way to break its hold." As they left the coffee shop, Sam couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched. The book's presence loomed over them, its narrative unfolding with every step they took. But with Clara by his side, he felt a glimmer of hope. Together, they would confront the malevolent force behind Reflections of Reality and reclaim control over their destinies. Chapter 4. The book's demand. The following morning, Sam awoke to find the book opened on its own, displaying a new chapter titled Sam's Tasks. Curiosity piqued, he began to read. The first task seemed simple enough. Leave a red rose at the statue in the town square before noon. Though puzzled, Sam decided to comply, thinking it harmless. However, as the days went by, the tasks grew increasingly sinister. From leaving obscure items in specific places, it escalated to breaking into a house to retrieve an old pendant or standing at the edge of a cliff during a storm. Each task came with a warning: fail to comply, and face the consequences. Clara, deeply engrossed in her research, discovered that the book's origins traced back centuries to a malevolent spirit named Eerie. Legend spoke of Eerie as a powerful sorcerer who, in his quest for immortality, bound his spirit to the pages of a book. Over time, as the sorcerer's essence merged with the tome, it became an instrument of his will, seeking to control and eventually possess its reader. As Sam and Clara delved deeper into the legend, they learned of the spirit's ultimate goal: to find a suitable host and return to the physical world. The tasks were a means to test the reader's obedience and resilience. Once deemed worthy, Eerie would attempt to take over their body. One evening, after narrowly escaping a particularly dangerous task, Sam returned home, exhausted and on edge. He found the book waiting for him, a new passage written in its ever-changing pages: "You can't escape your written fate." Clara, upon hearing this, grew even more determined. "We need to sever the link between you and the book," she declared. "Eerie's power grows with each task you complete. We must act quickly." But the book, sensing their intentions, had other plans. The pages fluttered on their own, revealing a new chapter: Clara's final task. The instructions were clear. Sam had to betray Clara, leading her to a trap set by the book. Torn between his own safety and the life of his friend, Sam faced an impossible choice. The weight of Eerie's influence pressed down on him, urging him to comply. But Clara's unwavering support and their shared determination to overcome the book's malevolence gave him hope. Together, they devised a plan to outwit Eerie and break free from the book's grasp. But with each passing moment, the stakes grew higher, and the line between reality and the written word blurred, leaving them in a race against time to reclaim their destinies. Chapter 5. The first task the sun had set, casting the town in a blanket of darkness, interrupted only by the occasional street lamp. Sam stood outside the decrepit house, its silhouette looming ominously against the moonlit sky. The windows were boarded up, and the once white paint was now chipped and faded. The book had been very specific: enter the abandoned house on Maple Street at midnight. Taking a deep breath, Sam pushed open the creaky door. The air inside was stale, thick with the scent of mold and decay. As he ventured further in, the atmosphere grew oppressive, and he felt as though he was being watched. Suddenly, the room was bathed in a cold, blue light. Illusions began to materialize around him. He saw himself as a child, lost and crying in a forest. Then, the scene shifted to a car accident, with Sam trapped inside, flames inching closer. Each vision played on his deepest fears, memories he had buried long ago. Amidst the chaos, a familiar voice echoed, "Focus, Sam. Don't let it control you." It was Clara, her voice a beacon in the darkness. But as he clung to her guidance, doubt crept in. Was this truly Clara, or just another trick of the book? Shaking off the paralyzing fear, Sam continued his search. In the heart of the house, he stumbled upon a room untouched by time. At its center lay an ornate pedestal, holding a pendant. It was crafted from silver, with an azure gemstone that pulsed with a soft glow. Remembering the legends, Sam recognized it as an amulet rumored to protect its bearer from malevolent spirits. Without hesitation, he grabbed the pendant, feeling a surge of warmth and energy. The illusions dissipated, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted. But as he made his way out, the book's pages rustled, and a new passage appeared. Nice move, but will it help? Exiting the house, Sam clutched the pendant tightly. Its presence was comforting, a stark contrast to the cold dread the book instilled. He knew this was just the beginning, the first of many trials. But with the pendant's protection and Clara by his side, he felt a renewed sense of hope. However, the book's taunting words lingered in his mind. Eerie was powerful, and while the pendant might offer some protection, the battle was far from over. Sam was determined to face whatever challenges lay ahead, ready to confront the malevolent spirit and reclaim control over his destiny. Chapter 6. Clara's Secret. The morning sun streamed through the windows of Clara's study, casting a warm glow over the room. Sam, still reeling from the previous night's events, sat across from her, the pendant resting on the table between them. The weight of the book's words hung heavily in the air, its mocking tone a stark reminder of the challenges they faced. Clara took a deep breath, her fingers tracing the edges of the pendant. "There's something I need to tell you, Sam," she began, her voice tinged with regret. "I've encountered a book like yours before." Sam looked up, surprise evident in his eyes. "You have?" She nodded, her gaze distant. "It was years ago. I found a book, similar to yours, in an old antique store. At first, it seemed harmless, just a collection of stories. But then, things started to change. The book began writing about my life, predicting events, manipulating my reality." Clara paused, taking a moment to collect herself. "My younger brother, Ethan, became obsessed with it. He believed that by following the book's instructions, he could gain control over his destiny. But the more he complied, the more the book consumed him. One day, he just disappeared. I've been searching for him ever since." Tears glistened in Clara's eyes as she continued, "I've dedicated my life to hunting down these books, hoping to save others from their grasp and, maybe, just maybe, find a way to bring Ethan back." Sam reached out, placing a comforting hand on hers. "I'm so sorry, Clara. I had no idea." She gave him a weak smile. "It's not your fault. These books, or rather the spirit within them, are masters of deception. They prey on our vulnerabilities, our fears, our desires." As they spoke, the book rustled, its pages turning on their own. A new passage appeared, detailing Clara's confession. At the bottom, in bold, mocking letters, it wrote, "How does it feel, Clara, chasing after lost causes?" Clara's face hardened, her resolve unwavering. "This isn't a lost cause, Elarian. We will defeat you, and I will find my brother." Sam nodded in agreement, determination burning in his eyes. "We're in this together, Clara. We'll put an end to Elarian's reign and ensure that no one else falls victim to these cursed books." The two of them, united in their purpose, set out to uncover the mysteries of the books and the malevolent spirit that bound them. With each passing day, the stakes grew higher, but they were resolute, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Chapter 7. The second task. The room was dimly lit, the only source of light being the soft glow of a solitary lamp. Sam sat on his couch, the book opened before him. The pages, which had been blank just moments ago, now bore a new chapter titled, "The Second Task." With a sense of foreboding, Sam began to read. The task was clear and chillingly simple: sever ties with someone you love. The weight of the demand settled heavily on his chest. The thought of pushing away someone he cared for was unbearable, but the fear of the book's unknown consequences was even more daunting. He thought of his family, his close friends, and the bonds he had nurtured over the years. Could he really sacrifice one of those relationships to appease the book? The internal battle raged within him, torn between the safety of his loved ones and the ominous threat of the book. Clara, sensing his distress, approached him. "We can't let it control us, Sam," she said firmly. "There has to be another way." Determined to find an alternative, they delved into Clara's extensive collection of paranormal texts. Hours of research led them to an ancient ritual believed to confront and weaken malevolent spirits. The ritual required specific symbols, chants, and a personal item from the spirit's past. With everything in place, they began the ritual. The room grew cold, and the atmosphere thickened. Shadows danced on the walls, and an oppressive silence enveloped them. As they chanted, the book began to levitate, its pages fluttering wildly. But as the ritual reached its climax, something went terribly wrong. A powerful force knocked them off their feet, extinguishing the candles and plunging the room into darkness. When the lights returned, the book lay open, a new passage written in mocking tones. "You should have just listened, Sam." Clara, disheveled but unharmed, helped Sam to his feet. "That was unexpected," she murmured, her face pale. Sam, his heart racing, looked at the book with a mix of fear and anger. "We tried to fight it, but it's more powerful than we imagined." Clara nodded, her determination unwavering. "We may have lost this battle, but the war is far from over. We need to regroup, learn from our mistakes, and come up with a new plan." The weight of their situation settled heavily on them. The book's demands were escalating, and its power seemed insurmountable. But Sam and Clara were resolute. They would not be defeated, not when so much was at stake. Together, they would find a way to break free from the book's grasp and put an end to Elarian's reign of terror. Chapter 8. Possession. The days following the failed ritual were tense. The atmosphere in the house was thick with unease, every creak of the floorboards or rustle of the curtains setting Sam on edge. But what concerned him most was Clara's behavior. She had always been a pillar of strength, her determination unwavering. But now, she seemed distant, her gaze often vacant. She would mutter to herself, her words indecipherable, and her movements were erratic, almost puppet-like. One evening, as Sam was preparing dinner, he caught Clara staring intently at the book. Her fingers traced its pages lovingly, a stark contrast to the fear and disdain they had both felt for it. It was then that the horrifying realization hit him. Eerie was trying to possess Clara. Clara? Sam approached her cautiously, his voice laced with concern. Are you okay? She turned to him, her eyes devoid of recognition. Why wouldn't I be? She replied, her voice dripping with malice. Panicking, Sam tried to wrestle the book away from her, but Clara, or the entity controlling her, was surprisingly strong. They grappled, knocking over furniture and shattering vases. All the while, the book lay open, its pages filling with a real-time narration of their struggle. Sam lunges at Clara, desperation evident in his eyes. But she's faster, stronger. He's no match for her. Reading the book's taunts, Sam's fear intensified. He needed to break Eerie's hold on Clara before it was too late. Summoning all his strength, Sam managed to pin Clara down. Fight it, Clara, he pleaded. Don't let it control you. For a moment, a flicker of recognition crossed her eyes, but it was quickly replaced by rage. Why are you trying to hurt me, Sam? She hissed, her voice echoing with a sinister undertone. As they continued their dangerous dance, the book gleefully narrated each move, reveling in Sam's desperation. Isn't it fun, Sam, watching your friend turn against you? In a last-ditch effort, Sam grabbed the pendant he had found in the abandoned house, pressing it against Clara's forehead. A blinding light emanated from it, and Clara let out a gut-wrenching scream. The force of the energy knocked Sam back, and he watched in horror as Clara's body convulsed, the spirit of Eerie being forcefully expelled from her. When the dust settled, Clara lay unconscious on the floor, her breathing shallow. Sam rushed to her side, cradling her in his arms. The book, its pages now blank, lay discarded nearby. As Clara slowly regained consciousness, Sam held her close, tears of relief streaming down his face. They had narrowly escaped Eerie's grasp, but the battle was far from over. The book's malevolent spirit was still at large, and they needed to find a way to put an end to its reign of terror once and for all. Chapter 9. The spirit's tale. The room was silent, save for the soft rustling of the book's pages. Sam, still reeling from the recent confrontation with Clara, watched as the book began to write on its own. The elegant script flowed across the page, revealing a tale that was both haunting and tragic. In a time long forgotten, I was a writer, passionate and ambitious. My name was Eerie, and I sought the one thing that eluded all: immortality. I believed that through my words, I could live forever, my stories echoing through the annals of time. In my quest, I crafted a book, a masterpiece that would capture the essence of life and death. But in my arrogance, I became ensnared by my own creation. The book, which was meant to be a vessel for my legacy, became my prison. As the years turned to decades and then centuries, my spirit grew restless, my once noble intentions warping into malevolence. I sought to reach out, to influence the world beyond my pages, to make others feel the torment of my eternal confinement. Sam's heart raced as he read Eerie's tale. The weight of the spirit's anguish was palpable, and for a moment, he felt a pang of sympathy. But that sentiment was quickly overshadowed by the reality of the danger they faced. The book continued, its tone shifting from sorrow to cunning. There is a way to free me, to break the chains that bind my spirit to these pages. But freedom comes at a price, a sacrifice that only a willing soul can make. As the words appeared, Clara, her eyes still glazed from the possession, moved closer to Sam. "Don't you see, Sam?" she whispered, her voice eerily calm. "We can end this. We can free Eerie and bring peace to his tormented soul." Sam looked at her, torn between his desire to help and the fear of the unknown consequences. "What does it want, Clara? What's the price?" Clara smiled, her gaze fixed on the book. "Join me, Sam. Together, we can write our eternal story. We can become legends, our tales echoing through time, just as Eerie wished." The gravity of her words settled heavily on Sam. The book was offering them a chance at immortality, but at what cost? Would they, too, become trapped within its pages, their spirits forever bound to its malevolent will? As he grappled with the decision, the book's pages rustled once more, a final message appearing in bold script. "Choose wisely, Sam. For once the choice is made, there is no turning back." The room grew silent, the weight of the decision pressing down on Sam. He knew that whatever path he chose, their lives would never be the same. The fate of Eerie, Clara, and himself hung in the balance, and the next move was his to make. Chapter 10. The ultimate sacrifice. The dim light of the room cast eerie shadows on the walls, the book lying open and inviting on the table. Sam took a deep breath, steeling himself for what lay ahead. With a determined step, he approached the book, placing his hand on its cover. A rush of energy surged through him, pulling him into its depths. Suddenly, Sam found himself in a vast, desolate landscape, the sky overhead a swirling mass of dark clouds. The ground beneath him was a patchwork of stories, narratives unfolding in real time. He could see people, their lives playing out, trapped within the confines of the book's pages. As he ventured further, he encountered trials that tested the very fabric of his being. Illusions of his darkest fears manifested, attempting to break his spirit. Memories, both good and bad, played out, forcing him to confront his past. With each challenge, the book's voice echoed, mocking his efforts and pushing him to the brink of sanity. In the midst of this chaotic world, Sam stumbled upon a familiar face, Ethan, Clara's lost brother. He was but a shadow of his former self, his essence woven into the book's narrative. "Sam?" Ethan's voice was weak, filled with despair. "Is it really you?" Sam nodded, reaching out to him. "I'm here to help, Ethan. We're going to get you out." But before they could move, a powerful force stopped them in their tracks. Eerie's spirit materialized, his form a swirling mass of dark energy. "So, you've come to my domain," he boomed, his voice echoing through the void. "What do you seek?" Sam, summoning all his courage, replied, "I want to free Ethan. He doesn't belong here." Eerie laughed, the sound chilling to the bone. "And what will you offer in exchange?" "Every story has a price." Sam thought of Clara, of the danger she faced, and of the promise he had made to protect her. With a heavy heart, he said, "Take me. Let Ethan go, and I'll stay in his place." Eerie regarded him for a moment, his gaze piercing. "A noble gesture," he mused. But how do I know you'll keep your word? Sam held out the pendant, the one he had found in the abandoned house. This is my bond. As long as I have it, I'll be bound to this place. Eerie nodded, a sly smile playing on his lips. Very well. But remember, once the choice is made, there's no turning back. Choose wisely, or you'll both be trapped forever. With a wave of his hand, Eerie released Ethan, his form dissolving into the ether. Sam felt a tug, the pendant's energy binding him to the book's world. As the landscape shifted, he found himself in a new narrative, his life now a part of the book's ever-growing story. Back in the real world, Clara held the book, tears streaming down her face. She could feel Sam's presence, his sacrifice evident in every word. With a heavy heart, she closed the book, vowing to find a way to free him, no matter the cost. Chapter 11. The Aware's downfall inside the book's realm. Sam's surroundings were a whirlwind of narratives and memories. But he clung to one thought, the pendant. It was his tether to the real world, and perhaps his weapon against Eerie. As the spirit loomed over him, reveling in its perceived victory, Sam devised a plan. He began to weave a narrative of his own, drawing from his deepest memories and emotions. The landscape around him began to shift, reflecting his thoughts. Eerie, curious and slightly amused, watched as the story unfolded. Sam's narrative centered around the pendant, imbuing it with a power it had never possessed before. In his story, the pendant was a trap designed to ensnare malevolent spirits. As the tale progressed, the pendant began to glow, its light piercing the darkness of the book's world. Eerie, sensing the shift in power, tried to retreat, but it was too late. The pendant's light enveloped him, trapping him within its confines. The spirit's screams echoed through the void as it was imprisoned, if only temporarily. With Eerie subdued, the realm began to destabilize. Sam rushed to find Ethan, the landscape shifting and contorting around them. Together, they navigated the maze of narratives, seeking an exit. Back in the real world, Clara clutched the book, feeling the turmoil within its pages. She could sense Sam's presence, his determination, and his desperation. As the book's energy surged, she was suddenly released from its grip, the possession lifted. She fell to the ground, gasping for breath, her mind a whirlwind of memories and emotions. With a final push, Sam and Ethan emerged from the book, the pendant's light fading as they returned to reality. The room was in disarray, the remnants of their struggle evident in every corner. Clara rushed to them, tears of relief streaming down her face. The trio embraced, the weight of their ordeal pressing down on them. They had faced the Aware and lived to tell the tale. But the book remained, its pages still filled with the spirit's malevolence. As they prepared to leave, Sam noticed a new passage on the last page. The elegant script flowed across the paper, a chilling message from Eerie. Every story has a sequel, and I'll be waiting. The group exchanged uneasy glances, the reality of their situation settling in. They had won the battle, but the war was far from over. Eerie was still out there, waiting for his next opportunity to strike. But for now, they had each other, and the knowledge that they could face any challenge together. If you have enjoyed our self-aware elements with a paranormal twist, terrifying Not Sleeping Tonight story, please visit us at our YouTube channel via our website address, Paranormal Untold Stories. Come and listen to more of our awesomely great scary story collections. Paranormal. Untold Stories encourages you to contact us if you have your own untold story that you would like our professional team to put online as a scary story.